The Ares-5 is the heavy launch vehicle that will carry the lunar lander into orbit. At 358 feet, it's nearly twice the height of a space shuttle with its boosters. The Ares-5 will lift off using a pair of 5-segment solid rocket boosters attached to a single liquid fuel booster, similar to the one used to launch the space shuttle. The Ares-5 will have the power to lift more than 140 tons into Earth orbit. After 2 minutes, the spent solid boosters will separate and fall back to Earth, where they'll be recovered and reused on later flights. The shroud will separate, revealing the lunar lander. The liquid booster will drop off, leaving the vacant lander in Earth orbit where it will await the arrival of its crew. The crew launch vehicle is the smaller Ares-1, which will carry the Orion capsule into space. Although it looks like the old Apollo, the Orion is much larger and will carry up to 6 astronauts on board. The Ares-1 has a 25-ton payload capacity, so in addition to carrying crews into space, it can also be used to shuttle supplies to the ISS or to place loads in orbit to be retrieved by other vehicles. The Ares-1 has 2 stages. The first is a single 5-segment reusable solid rocket booster, like those used on the larger Ares-5. About midway through its flight, the reusable booster will separate and the Orion's abort engine will jettison. The upper stage engine will then ignite and separate, hurling the Orion into orbit. The Orion has 2 parts, the crew capsule and a service module to carry supplies. Once in orbit, the unit will maneuver into position to rendezvous with the waiting lunar module. Although it can carry a crew of 6, for lunar missions, Orion will carry 4 astronauts. Orion will be able to handle missions up to 6 months long, which will be required for future flights to Mars. A series of delicate maneuvers will allow Orion to dock with the lunar module. The Earth departure stage engine will ignite, allowing the docked vehicles to escape Earth's orbit and head to the Moon. The trip will take 3 days. When the craft arrive, the engine will separate, leaving the 2 docked vehicles in orbit around the Moon. All 4 crew members will move to the lunar module, which will separate from the Orion capsule and begin its descent to the surface of the Moon. The empty Orion will remain in orbit 60 to 70 miles above the Moon. 4 rockets on the lower descent stage of the lander will control the rate of descent. The module will land near the lunar pole, which may be the site of a permanent base. As it approaches the surface, the engines will slow it down until the module gently lands on the surface of the Moon. One by one, crew members will climb down the module ladder. And after a hiatus of more than 30 years, man will again set foot on the lunar landscape and enjoy a privileged view of his home planet.